Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tremont McCray, and this is Character Transmutation LLC, where we transform your character from lead to gold. Now, we've been breaking down this video series on the science of getting rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and this is chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the first principle in the science of getting rich. And I'll tell you guys this as a segue point. I cracked the code. So at the end of the video series, you will see a bonus video. And I break down the code of what is the certain way. So if you're starting this video series from wherever you're at, 1, 2, 3, or 4, keep going. Because by video 11 or 12, you're going to see the certain way broken down in a mathematical equation that you can duplicate. So excited to share that with you guys. But in the meantime, let's keep going, keep decoding, keep remembering, and shout out to one of the GOATs. The first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power that can produce tangible riches from the divine substance. The stuff from which all things are made is the substance that thinks, and the thought of form in this substance produces the form. He's talking about the ether, the fifth element, the unseen, right? Reality of life. Divine substance moves according to its thoughts. Every form and process you see in nature is the visible expression of a thought in this substance. As the divine stuff thinks of a form, it takes that form. As it thinks of a motion, it makes the motion. That is the way all things were created. We live in a thought world, which is part of a thought universe. The thought of a moving universe extended throughout divine substance, and the thinking stuff moving according to that thought took the form of systems of planets and maintains that form. Thinking substance takes the form of its thought. It moves according to the thought. Holding the idea of circulating systems of suns and worlds, it takes the form of these bodies. It moves them as it thinks. Thinking the form of a slow-growing oak tree, it moves accordingly and produces a tree. Through centuries may be required to do the work. In creating the divine system to move according to the lines of motion it has established, the thought of an oak tree does not cause the instant formation of a grown-forth tree, but it does start in motion the forces that will produce the tree along established lines of growth. So that's loaded, but what he's saying is that whatever thought or seed of consciousness is planted in the object of being, right? That's what it's going to grow into. So within each of us is a system already in place, what I call a divine scroll, a purpose. And he's saying that we can only grow in a mathematical way. So the universe is actually geometry, it's actually math, right? In a mathematical way to produce what it is that was encoded within us. And we cannot go, any other way. And this is what he's talking about, thoughts. Thoughts is energy. Thoughts are, nevertheless, guys, truth must be expressed through the thought form first. That's the first signal. Let's keep going. Like I said, every thought of form held in thinking substance causes the creation of that form, but always, or at least generally, along lines of growth and action already established. The thought of a house of a certain construction, if it were impressed upon divine substance, might not cause the instant formation of the house, but it would cause the turning of creative energies already working in trade and commerce into such channels as to result in the speedy building of the house. Guys, this is the vision. If you have the vision of your future, the vision of your purpose, that's the blueprint which reality orchestrates life. That's what he's talking about. And if there were no existing channels through which the creative energy could work, then the house would be formed directly from primal substance without waiting for the slow processes of the organic and inorganic world. No thought of form can be impressed upon divine substance without causing the creation of the form. The human mind is a thinking center. It can originate thought. All the forms that was fashioned with our hands must first exist in our thought. We cannot shape a thing until we have thought that thing. And so far, we have confined our efforts wholly to the work of our hands. We have applied manual labor to the world of forms, seeking to change or modify these already existing. We have never thought of trying to cause the creation of new forms by impressing our thoughts upon divine substance. This is getting to the element of creation. When we have a thought form, we take material from the forms of nature. It makes an image of the form which is in our mind. We have so far made little or no effort to cooperate with divine intelligence, to work with God. Shout out to the Most High. We reshape and modify existing forms by manual labor, but we have given no attention to the question whether we may not produce we may not produce these things from divine substance by communicating our thoughts to it. We propose to prove that we may do so, to prove that any man or woman may do so, and to show how. As our first step, we must lay down three foundational propositions. First, we assert that there is one original divine stuff, or substance, which we all things are made. All the seemingly many elements are but different presentations of one element. All the many forms found in organic and inorganic nature are but different shapes made from the same stuff. And the stuff is thinking stuff. It's the divine ether. He said thinking stuff. I'll take that. A thought held in it produces the form of the thought. Thought and thinking substance produces shapes. The human mind is a thinking center capable of original thought. If we can communicate our thoughts to original thinking substance, we can cause the creation or formation of the thing we think about. To summarize this, there is a thinking stuff which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interpasses of the universe. A thought in its substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. We can form things in our thought and be impressed our thought upon divine substance can cause the thing we think about to be created. This is coherence. This is harmony. This is what we call divine resonance, right? We're talking frequency. You attract a law of attraction, right? It may be asked if these statements can be proved. Without going into details, they can be proved by logic and experience. Reasoning back from the phenomena of form and thought, there is one original thinking substance. And reasoning forward from this thinking substance, we derive our power to cause the formation of the thing we think about. If one person who reads this book gets rich by doing what it recommends, that is evidence in support of this claim. But if every person who follows this process gets rich, that is a positive proof until someone goes through the process and fails. The theory is true until the process fails. And the process will not fail, for every person who does exactly what this book recommends will get rich. We get rich by doing things in a certain way. Again, guys, I broke down the equation of the certain way because he's going to talk around it the whole book. He's going to talk around it. He's going to kind of symbolically point to it. He's going to allude to it. He's going to hint at it, but he doesn't break it down mathematically. What do you do? How do you generate wealth? The science of getting rich. And again, I cracked that code, guys. We're going to get into that later. But for now, it's a certain way. And in order to do so, we must become able to think in a certain way. Your way of doing things is a direct result of the way you think about things. And the way you think about things is a direct result of your identity. Who do you say you are? And remember the back premise of the book, it says you can become what you want to be. This is alchemy he's alluding to, guys. This is identity transformation. This is embodiment of lead to gold. But again, he's alluding to it. I'm telling you what it is. So to do things in a certain way, to do things in a way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. This is the first step to getting rich, the self-mastery. To think what you want to think is to think truth regardless of appearances. We all have the natural and inherent power to think what we want to think. But it requires far more effort to do so than it does to think the thoughts which are suggested by appearances. To think according to appearance is easy. To think truth, regardless of appearances, is laborious. It requires the expenditure of more power than any other work we are called upon to perform. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. This is especially true when truth is contrary to appearances. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind that observes it. And this can only be prevented by holding the thought of the truth. This is why we always teach to go within yourself. Like we as in spiritual teachers and masters, go within yourself and ignore the physical world, because the physical world is just a mirror of what's going on internally, energetically, your mindset, your character. Let's keep going, guys. To look upon appearances of disease will produce the form of disease in your own mind and ultimately in your body, unless you hold the thought of truth, which is there is no disease. It is only an appearance, and the reality is health. To look upon appearances of poverty will produce corresponding forms in your own mind. Unless you hold to that truth that there is no poverty, there is only abundance. This is the law of polarity. To think health when surrounded by the appearances of disease, or to think riches when in the midst of appearances of poverty, requires power. And that power comes from the source. It comes from alignment. We don't get into it, guys. Those who acquire this power become masterminds who can conquer fate and have what they want. The power can only be acquired by getting hold of the basic fact that is behind all appearances, and that fact is that there is one thinking substance from which and by which all things are made. Then we must grasp the truth that every thought held in a substance becomes a form, and that we can so impress our thoughts upon it as to cause them to take form and become visible things. When we realize this, we lose all doubt and fear, for we know that we can create what we want to create. We can get what we want to have, and to become what we want to be. That's led to gold, baby. As the first step towards getting rich, you must believe the three foundational statements given previously in the chapter. And in order to emphasize them, they are repeated here. Remember, the first step is belief. It's faith. That's why in my equation, we don't get into divine physics, guys, because divine physics explains this. In my equation, when we talk about character and faith, faith is the unseen variable. It's literally the unseen variable because your results are going to be dependent upon your level of conviction, your level of belief, because that must come first before you transition into knowing. You can't just get to the knowing. You have to first believe it's possible. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, in which it is in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the intro spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by thought. We can form things in our own thought, and by impressing our thought upon divine substance, can cause things we think about to be created. You must lay aside all other aspects of the universe than this monasteric one, and you must dwell upon this until it fits in your mind. It has become your habitual thought. So he is going to get into repetition, because repetition is how you program your subconscious mind, which operates 95% of your reality. So we're going into the infrastructures of your consciousness. We're going that deep, guys. Read these creed statements over and over again. Fix every word upon your memory and meditate upon them until you firmly believe what they say. If a doubt comes to you, cast it aside as a sin. Do not listen to arguments against this idea. Do not go to places or lectures or tune in radio or television programs or a concrete concept of things that's taught or preached. Do not read magazines or books which teach a different idea. If you get mixed up in your faith, all your efforts will be in vain. Do not ask why these things are true. nor speculate as to how they are true. Simply take them on trust. The science of getting rich begins with the absolute acceptance of this faith. And what he's saying is that if we're talking about your frequency and your embodiment of truth, the majority of the world is going to tell you the opposite. But you have to first start believing in yourself and believing in your intuition and trusting in the Most High, who's guiding your path and giving you the insight, and act on only that. And this is how you be your authentic self. So that was chapter 4, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and really take these lessons to heart, because no one's really teaching it anymore how I'm teaching it. Like, no one's teaching it. I don't think most people are teaching it at all. I think they're walking around old concepts. But I'm here to shine light on the truth. This is not self-help. This is not personal development. This is personal remembrance. This is self-identity, right? So next video is going to be chapter 5, increasing life. Until then, guys, keep going on your journey. Stay blessed. And you already know where we're going. From lead to gold.